This week on Sports Mag, we're going to check out the highlights from the 08-09 basketball season.
And we're going to take a look at what the University of Colorado is doing to keep its athletes substance-free and away from steroids.
Is that a bird? A plane? Wait, no, that's aerial dance.
See you. Hello and welcome to CU Sports Mag. I'm Amanda Blackwell sitting alongside Kylie Horner. And Kylie, we got a pretty good show today.
We definitely do. I mean, football's starting, so let's just jump right into it. Finally, the wait is over. The spring football season has officially started. The Buffs began practicing on Tuesday with high expectations and confidence. The team is also anxious to see what the new recruits have to offer when they join the team this summer. A select group of students, athletes such as Cody Hawkins, Scotty McKnight, and Rodney Stewart will be given special privileges this season, such as wearing helmet visors for the upcoming games. The Buffs are excited to start hitting drills, but even more excited to improve on last season's 5-7 record.
One Buff is rapidly moving up the ranks, the coaching ranks that is. Eric Keesaw, CU's wide receivers coach and passing game coordinator, is entering his 4th year with the program. Keesaw turned down a higher paying position at the University of Oregon to stay with the Buffs. The 36-year-old joined Coach Hawkins' staff after a short stint at Cal and says he's staying in Boulder because he likes where the program's heading and is excited to bring the Buffs back to glory.
The Buffs are hitting the practice fields with some new technology. The quarterbacks will be playing every snap with a camera on their heads. That's right, a camera during football practice. Jamie Guy is the head of sports film and came up with the concept. The helmet cams will offer a huge advantage for CU football coaches because they can see exactly where the quarterbacks are looking. With this new technology, the Buffs hope to make gains in the overall performance of the quarterbacks.
By now, it should be no secret that football is in the air. Quarterback Cody Hawkins talks about the changes being made this spring and the use of the new helmet cameras.
The cameras on the helmets will be really cool for us because getting an entirely new perspective on the game from seeing exactly what you're seeing and be able to replicate that in the film room, it'll be really awesome. One thing that you don't really get to do in the fall is kind of compete against your own team, and the lucky thing for us is we can have some live scrimmages, and if we get hurt, we have months to recover. So everybody's really excited to kind of strap it on and get a couple live practices in there because you can really test yourself in the off season. Unless you're getting better, I mean, you're always moving backwards. So everybody's trying to improve every practice, every day, whether you're watching film or getting extra throws and out on the field.
Holy Toledo! The Colorado men's football team now has count 'em, 4 nationally televised games for the upcoming 2009-2010 season. The Buffaloes and the University of Toledo Rockets will meet for the first time ever later this summer on Friday, September 11th. The game will be played at Toledo's on-campus stadium, the Glass Bowl, and will be broadcast by ESPN. Kickoff will be at 7 p.m. Mountain Time. Toledo replaces Miami of Ohio in the CU schedule after several Mid-American Conference members adjusted their non-conference schedules in what was one big domino effect. CU was on national television a school record 10 times in 2008.
All right, well, building off of that schedule change just a little bit, we've got David Starcer here with us, and he's going to break down what that schedule change means exactly for the rest of the season, for next season. All right, so let's start off with non-conference games. They have 4 this year. Do you see any improvement off of last year? Any more difficulty?
Definitely. Last year, or past years, I should say, we've had a lot of top teams come in here to Boulder and play us. USC, Georgia, Florida State, and of course last year, West Virginia, just to name a few of them. This year, though, it's going to be a little bit easier. First off, we got Colorado State playing them not in Vesco, but here in Folsom Field. They're missing their star running back who graduated, and we spanked them last year in Denver, so something tells me we're going to do a little bit better even this year. Then, of course, we got Toledo, who replaced Miami of Ohio on the schedule. They won 3 games in the MAC conference last year. For those of you who don't know what the MAC conference is, it's a pretty down conference. So I think we'll do good there. Then, of course, we got Wyoming, and finishing up going to West Virginia. They'll, of course, be looking for revenge for last season, but they're missing Pat White, their star quarterback. And, if we play like we did last year, we definitely have a chance to win 3, if not all 4 of those games.
All right, well, let's talk about Big 12 games. They've got 8 this season, and they only went 2-6 last year in the conference. Do you think they're going to do any better this year?
I do. I really do. Like I said, last year we had some close calls, tough losses to teams like Nebraska and Oklahoma State. We got rematches them this year, so hopefully we can do better than that. And of course, two of the teams in our own division, Josh Freeman for Kansas State and Chase Daniel from Missouri, are both gone, either graduated or went to the NFL. So definitely got a chance to win, 4 or 5, maybe even 6 of our 8 conference games.
All right, well, taking a look at the big picture, the season overall, what do you think our record's going to be? Are we going to make a bowl game this year?
I finally think this is the year we're going to take that final step and go to a bowl game. If we win 3 of those non-conference games, 5 or 6 of the conference games, you're looking at 8 or 9 wins right there, and that's definitely enough to get to a bowl game, a good bowl game at that, and that'll finally take some of the pressure off Coach Hawkins and show that the program's finally taken that next step forward.
All right, well, great. Thanks so much for being here, and I really hope that that's the case next season.
Me too.
Now we're going to change things up and talk a little bit about the NCAA Final Four. So I'll send it to Matt and Andrew at the double team.
All right, well, we're having a little bit of technical difficulties with that, so let's take it over to commercial break, and we'll come back and see if we can get Matt and Andrew after the break.
And then we'll be talking a little bit about golf.
We'll talk about golf, and we'll have some basketball highlights after the break.
We sing for millions of girls, but helping out in schools, that's the real deal, baby. I know our love can multiply, 'cause you're the X and I'm the Y.
I'm the cute one, you know what I'm saying? So, have you ever been backstage before?
Okay, guys, this is an abacus, an old school calculator. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Like the circle and the square, our geometry is a perfect pair.
Now, why should kids know about gravity?
Well, gravity holds them down.
I once was one, but now we're two.
I'm spinning out of control.
Remember all the gifts you've given your children over the years? The ones you thought they would cherish forever? Just think, if you had given your child as little as $25 a month in U.S. savings bonds over the last 18 years, he'd have over $10,000 right now. But you didn't, did you? Give your children a real head start in life. Give them U.S. savings bonds. U.S. savings bonds, the gift of a lifetime.
It isn't an order or a command. Protocol doesn't require it. The oath of enlistment doesn't refer to it. So why do sailors devote so much time to helping Americans in need? To instituting programs on their behalf? Because when you're in the Navy, you go wherever the battle is.
Sorry for those technical difficulties. We couldn't really make it over to Matt and Andrew, but we're going to jump right into the golf team. The men's golf team started off slow but surged into second place after a strong final round, taking home the second place hardware during this week's 63rd Annual Western Intercollegiate Golf Tournament. Ranked number 45 in the Golf Week rankings, the Buffs overcame poor opening and second round play to bounce back and finish only one spot behind the 55th ranked Oregon Ducks. Senior Derek Tolan led the way for the Buffs, tying a season-best score of 67 and ultimately finishing second on the overall leaderboard. The Buffs will lead the West Coast behind to head home to the tune-up for next week's opening rounds at CU Stevenson Ranch Invitational on Monday and Tuesday.
The women's tennis team knocked the ball out of the court this past weekend, defeating the 68th ranked team, Texas Tech. This win puts the Buffaloes conference play at an amazing 5-0. This marks history for the best tennis record and also the first CU women's team to go undefeated in the month of March. Junior Camilla Balassi clinched the top singles match and the top doubles match, aiding the Buffs in the win. The victory puts the Buffs at 9-5 overall for the season, and the tennis team will take to the road for the next 2 weeks with trips to Texas and Missouri. And the tennis match against the Baylor Bears this past Saturday was postponed due to the inconsistent weather in Boulder. The Buffs were scheduled to compete against the number 4 nationally ranked Bears, but it was scheduled for April 22nd in Norman, Oklahoma.
Though the CU men's basketball team didn't make it to any championship game, or in that case, national postseason game, one Big 12 team did. The Baylor Bears of the Big 12 South played in the men's National Invitational Tournament Championship game Thursday night against Penn State at Madison Square Garden in New York. After taking a 29-25 lead at halftime, the Nittany Lions dominated the second half to beat the Bears 69-63 for Penn State's first ever national tournament title. Congratulations to the Baylor Bears on a successful postseason run, and let's hope the Buffs can find a way into the postseason next year.
After finishing off the season with only 11 victories, the women's basketball team received some more personal wins this weekend at the basketball banquet. Britney Spears took home Offensive Player of the Year for leading the team and the Big 12 stats all season. In addition to being named to the Big 12 All-Rookie team this season, Alyssa Fresley scored Rookie of the Year and Defensive Player of the Year honors, as she was the leading freshman in the league of steals, assists, and minutes played.
Both the men's and women's basketball teams had less than stellar seasons this year, but let's not dwell on the negative. Here are some of the top CU basketball plays from the 2008-2009 season. So we're going to take a little bit of a break, but when we come back, we'll find out who the athlete of the week is.
And there's an activity going on in Boulder that many people may not know about. We'll find out what aerial dance is after the break.
Can you pass the salt, Dad?
Salt is to pepper as gregarious is to...
Oh, no, not more SAT questions.
In ancient Rome, salt was a form of currency. True or false?
False?
True.
Son, can you locate sodium?
Or chloride?
There are tons of ways to help with your kids' learning. Find the really good ones on connectforkids.org.
You have 3.5 grams of salt and a 5-gram slug. What's the rate of shrivel?
In America, you are not required to offer food to the hungry or shelter to the homeless. There is no ordinance forcing you to visit the lonely. In fact, nowhere in the Constitution does it say you have to provide anything for anybody. Thank you for all you've given. Imagine what more could do.
I'm starving. What's for breakfast?
Guten Tag!
Johannes, Franz!
I bring you arts-enriched Raisinblams, fortified with increased test scores and creative problem-solving skills.
It's good!
And good for you.
Bobby? Susie?
Don't worry, that's just the power of the arts!
Feed your kids the arts. For 10 simple ways to learn how, visit AmericansForTheArts.org.
Welcome back to Sports Mag. We're going to jump right back in. Former CU soccer player Michelle Winino has recently been named the Chicago Red Stars women's professional soccer team. As the 2008 Big 12 Co-Defensive Player of the Year, Winino has a spot on the Red Stars starts opening day poster as part of the developmental squad. Winano is looking forward to the challenge and opportunity to improve while in Chicago, with the ultimate goal of playing professional soccer. Be sure to cheer on the former Buff with the kickoff of the inaugural WPS season on March 29th. It was announced earlier that Colorado's football team has replaced Miami of Ohio with Toledo on their schedule. This game will be played Friday, September 11th. Speaking of Friday night football, that brings us to this week's trivia question. When was the last time the Buffaloes played a Friday game that wasn't during the week of Thanksgiving?
The CU Club hockey team finished the season ranked 10th in the nation after competing at Nationals at the end of March. The Buffs finished pool play with a 1-2 record after starting the tournament on fire with a big 8-4 win over William Patterson on opening night. In the Buffs' second game, they gave the eventual champions, Davenport, all they could handle for the first 2 periods, but would fall 5-1 in the end after a big third period by the Panthers. Colorado then finished off pool play with a 2-1 loss to Miami of Ohio on March 19th. CU will look to regroup and battle again next season as they search for their second national title.
We may not have clowns, elephants, or a ringleader, but right here in Boulder, we have people who can fly through the air with the greatest of ease. Kylie Burse reports on this unique sport and how anyone can do it.
Dancing all over the world is seen as an art, a unique form of expression. Right here in Boulder, aerial dancing takes those expectations so much higher.
Aerial dance is you dancing in the air. There's the tissue, which is the cloth-like fabric, the hoop, which is a giant aerial hoop suspended in the air, a trapeze, and those are the 3 basic aerial apparatuses.
Using only these 3 apparatuses and their own strength, aerial dancers have an unbelievable way of defying gravity.
I was actually a total runner, pounder, gym rat a little bit, and getting a lot of injuries, and I couldn't run as much. I was frustrated. And my husband and I went to Cirque du Soleil, and I was watching this. And in my cocky little way, I said, oh, I could totally do that. And then my husband read an article and gave it to me for my 52nd birthday.
From different backgrounds and experiences, they all come together for one reason: to fly.
There's an element of aerial dance for probably everyone. There are people that say, my shoulders, I can't do this or something. They use the fabric and never leave the ground.
Aerial is something I enjoy doing, and something I love, and I love to put smiles on people's faces, so I practice to, at least when I do a show, to at least put a smile on one person's face.
Kylie Burse, CU Sports Mag.
How did you spend your spring break? Well, if you were the CU Men's Club lacrosse team, you spent it in Georgia playing against some of the best competition in the Southeast. The number 17 ranked Buffs finished the trip with a 2-1 record with dominating wins over the University of Georgia and Georgia Tech in their first 2 games. CU's toughest opponent came on the final day of the trip as they fell to the number 6 Florida State Seminoles 9-7 in a game that saw multiple lead changes in the first 3 quarters. The Buffs will look to get back to their winning ways as they'll take on the number 4 BYU tonight in Provo, Utah.
Sunday afternoon, the CU women's tennis team took on the Texas Tech Red Raiders and defeated them in a 6-1 victory. One of the key players in the victory was junior Camila Balassi. Camila clinched her 5th victory this season. This was also her 52nd career singles match. The CU Buffs have won 5 straight matches and for the first time have gone undefeated in the month of March. The women's tennis team could not have done this without Camila, and that is what makes Camila Balassi this week's Athlete of the Week. So it looks like we have some of our technical difficulties fixed, and we'll be sending it to Double Team. So,
how you guys doing? This is week's Double Team. I'm Matt Hanlon. This is my co-partner, Andrew Tomasini. We're going to be talking about a little bit about spring football and that Final Four we got going on right now.
Exactly. I think we're going to touch on football first, and the first thing we're going to talk about is spring practice started this week. We're going to have a lot of battles in the quarterback position and also at the running back. So, Matt, the first thing I'm going to ask you is, what's up with the quarterback position for the fall?
Quarterback, we got Cody Hawkins, we got Tyler Hansen, and we got this new freshman coming in, Clark Evans. He's supposed to redshirt. Maybe they'll take the red shirt off in mid-season, see how the season's going. I like Tyler Hansen's speed. He doesn't have the arm and the experience like Cody Hawkins, but Cody Hawkins has the, he has the arm, the experience, the Big 12 play, but he lacks the speed. But I like him coming out of spring practice. I've been hearing good things about him. He's been playing very well, practicing really hard with the team. What do you think about the quarterback situation?
I think the biggest thing, and I think you hit the nail right on the head, is that Cody's got the experience. He understands the formation. He understands the game plan. I think he's going to go into the season knowing his role. But so is Tyler Hansen, and he's also an integral part of this team. Don't forget about him as they run the ball, as they run the offense. Cody, he understands how to run the offense and whatnot, but I think Tyler Hansen is really going to prove to be a producer for this Colorado Buffalo team come fall, because they can integrate him in certain situations where the team necessarily might not know his strengths and weaknesses, and his strengths is his feet.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one. Running backs, we got Darryl Scott, we got
Derek Lockridge, Darryl Scott, we have Rodney Stewart. A lot of injuries last year due to the offensive line, but if you were to pick one of those guys to come out of there at the top of the depth chart, what do you think?
Well, if all are healthy, I'm going to go with, Rodney Stewart. He played really well last season, ran the ball really well. 20-plus, rushing attempts that were, 10 yards or something like that.
He's 24 for 132. About 10 of them were 10-plus or more. So, huge for the Buffs right there. Let's flip it right now and talk a little about NCAA basketball. 2 games this week, Final Four. UConn versus Michigan State and UNC versus Nova. Tell me what you think.
I'm thinking Villanova. It's tough. Villanova's a good team. They have a lot of experience. They play a small team against a very, very deep UNC team. You got Michigan State against a very, very good UConn, Connecticut team. Who do you think the underdog could be?
You know what? I think if we're gonna have to pick one upset, I think it would possibly be Michigan State, and I only say that because they're in Detroit. They're going to have the hometown going with them, the crowd. They're going to have the energy. Kalen Lucas, Goran Suton, big matchup for them. I think when you look on the other side, it's going to be a lot harder for Villanova to upset North Carolina. They have a lot of depth, like you said. Tyler Zeller, Deion Thompson, and also Ed Davis coming off the bench after Tyler Hansbrough, and that's tough to handle.
Yeah, Danny Green's also very good, and Ty Lawson knows when to put the pressure on. He really clamps down in the second half. He can just put a game away by himself. But I think that it'll come down to UConn versus North Carolina. Who are you taking in that game?
Essentially, I think I'm going to have to go with North Carolina. Tyler Hansbrough came back this year. This is his senior season. He's looking for a huge win in the national championship, and they're going to ride Ty Lawson all the way to the title. So I'm going to take North Carolina. I'm going
to argue against that. I'm going to take UConn. They got the beat. They got AJ Price, he's a senior, good coaching staff.
All right.
I think it's going to be quality. Look to see, a very, very good game in that matchup.
All right, well, listen, we want to thank you for coming to Double Team, and we're going to head it back to the desk right now.
Thanks, guys. So we're going to take a little bit of a commercial break, but when we come back, we're going to find the answer to the trivia question.
Yep, and with so much steroid scandal going on right now, we're going to take a look at what the University of Colorado is doing to keep their athletes safe. Stick around.
You running on empty after countless late nights studying? Relying on caffeine to keep you awake throughout the day? According to researchers at Brown University, a shocking 89% of college students nationwide struggle to get the necessary 8 hours of sleep recommended each night. Getting a full night's rest promotes a healthy immune system, supports memory function, and restores energy. Sleep is not a waste of time, and sleep deprivation can have serious negative effects on your academic performance and social life. 8 hours. Get some.
Dude. It wastes energy to leave everything on. It's simple. Just turn it off before you go to sleep.
Do your part. Be energy smart.
Lewis and Clark, great explorers. Hey, wait. Hi, I'm Thomas Jefferson. Would you check out the West for me? Oh, sure.
And they take their keelboat up the Missouri.
Oh, Buffalo. Then they built Fort Mandan. They're at 1804. Made some friends along the way. I'm Circuit Wheel.
Through the Columbia Gorge.
There are tons of ways to help with your kids' learning. Find the really good ones on connectforkids.org.
The sweet Pacific Ocean. Yeah!
Welcome back, and after that long wait, we now have the answer to this week's trivia question. Just to remind you what the question was, when was the last time the Buffaloes played a Friday game that wasn't during the week of Thanksgiving? The answer is October 10th, 1975, against the Miami Hurricanes.
Steroids have become a common theme in athletics today. I took a look at what CU is doing to try to keep its athletes free of illegal substances. Colorado's most recent sports history has experienced several scandals, causing the athletic department to work hard to remake its image. CU has taken a positive step by focusing on health education for athletes, and in today's world, steroids are the hot-button issue.
The idea behind steroids is that it can get you from point A to point B maybe a little bit quicker. That type of mentality and thought process is discouraged here.
Each semester, the athletic department hosts a seminar designed to inform student athletes on the dangers and penalties of steroids. These seminars have videos made by other students and presentations on healthy alternatives. Although many of the athletes grasp the importance of staying away from steroids, they do realize they may be at a disadvantage, making the decision to stay away from illegal substances all the more difficult, and the guidance of coaches and trainers even more crucial.
I just work hard and take the supplements that the colleges give to us, and just listen to my strength coaches and the coaches and my mentors around me.
Even those athletes who have made the decision to get fit by natural means may get fooled. Many drugstore supplements actually contain traces of illegal substances. Fortunately, trainers are always on standby to provide advice.
Like most institutions, we encourage athletes, if they're going to take an over-the-counter supplement, that they need to bring it to either the weight room or the sports medicine area, and we can verify through the NCAA if it contains any banned substances.
There's no denying that in sports today there's a need to be bigger, faster, and stronger. But the health education at CU and many other college campuses can provide support for athletes who are constantly under pressure. Amanda Blackwell, CU Sports Mag. In addition to the steroid education programs, the NCAA enforces random drug testing in an effort to keep all athletes accountable for their actions.
So now we're going to change things up and see what the weather has in store this weekend.
Yeah, I hope it's good to us this weekend. Kylie, what's it going to look like?
Thanks, guys. Unfortunately, I don't have good news for you this weekend, but let's jump right in and take a look at those national maps that we have going on. As you can see, we have a low pressure system coming over Colorado, as well as a cold front that just swept through. That is not good news. That means we aren't going to have sunny weather. We're going to have some storms coming through, as a lot of clouds as well. If you look at the temperatures, actually, you can see that we're looking pretty cold. We're in the purples, the deep purples, the dark blues. That's not what we want to see for a weekend, especially we're getting close. We're deep into spring by now. We need to see some higher temperatures. With Boulder specifically, our temperatures are not looking so good. Friday and Saturday, we do have a lot of snow going on. Saturday with temperatures dipping into 30, below almost to 20 degrees. Not so good, and we are scheduled to get about 6 to 8 inches of snow, which is not good at all. The rest of the weekend isn't looking too bad. Sunday, Monday, it's going to warm up, but looking at some ski resorts, as you can see, A Basin has a great base snow of 69 inches. They have about 96 trails open, and don't forget, it is Gaper Day coming up this weekend, which means you need to put on your most obnoxious ski clothes that you have and get out there and hit the slopes at A Basin. Another ski resort that we have is Keystone. Keystone is looking pretty good as well. They are going to be a little bit colder with temperatures about 35 degrees, and they've also closed a couple of trails since the last time we've seen them. Eldora is a little bit closer to home for those of you here in Boulder, and they're going to be warmer with about 44 for their high, but again, they don't have as much base snow. That's okay. We have a couple of sports that are going out of state this week. College Station is going to be hosting our tennis team. As you can see, there's going to be some rain on Friday, but hopefully that'll completely dry off by their match on Saturday, where we have 72 degrees. Women's golf is heading over to Arizona. And look at that course right there. That's where they're going to be playing with 80-degree temperatures. That is just fantastic for them. Too bad we don't have that here in Boulder.
Yeah, that really is too bad. I'm not looking forward to this weekend at all. That's going to be a mess, it sounds like, on Saturday.
Absolutely. Hopefully we won't see any closing of the highways. That's what we're really concerned about.
All right. Well, thanks so much for that weather thing. That's going to do it for us on Sports Mag. I'm Amanda Blackwell.
I'm Kylie Horner.
And thanks for watching.